Go by your phone.
It is now 5 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Waxahachie Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Please let the record show that all 7 trustees are in attendance. And this meeting has been duly called. Notice of this meeting has been posted for time and manner required by law. At this time, the board will convene in closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5 p.m. 5:37, the board is going to reconvene back into open session. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Cooper to lead us out of invocation, followed by a pledge of allegiance to the American and Texas flag by Elizabeth and Caroline Klein.
We bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, most gracious on God, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our WISD community. Father, we ask that you would search our minds and our hearts and remove anything that's unlike you. Help us to keep the course, help us to keep the main thing, which are our students. Father, we ask that you would forgive us in any ways we have erred. Father, we ask that you would help us to serve in a manner that is pleasing unto you. Father, we ask that this meeting be nothing more, nothing less than what you have planned. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen. No, we're looking at the project.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Right here. There you go, right here, guys. Perfect. Thank you, sweet girls. Good job. Thank you.
Our vision is to be a district where innovation thrives and growth is limitless.
We value choices because they make us unique and are critical to learning.
We value a collaborative culture that honors and supports all who positively impact the lives of our students.
We value an environment of belonging that respects individual differences and ensures equality for all.
We value relationships that broaden learning experiences and enrich our community.
All right, next item on our agenda will be our recognition of Ms. Bridges.
Good evening, Board of Dr. Hollingsworth. We are going to skip our first recognition, and they are not quite here yet, and we are going to start with our second recognition. I would like to invite, went too far. Are y'all changing it over there? Hang on. No. Sorry about that. All right. I would like to invite Ms. Ginger Allamon, our principal at Dunaway Elementary, to come up.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Hollingsworth, thank you guys so much for having me here. As Jenny said, my name is Ginger Allamon, and I'm the proud principal at Dunaway Elementary School. And so I wanted to take tonight to recognize one of our staff members who had an act of quick thinking and courage. During lunchtime, one of our students was choking and was unable to breathe. So without any hesitation, Mr. Dela Cruz jumped right in. He rushed over, he performed the Heimlich maneuver and was able to help the student get that food dislodged from her throat so that she could continue breathing and be safe. And so I'm grateful for his ability to jump in and make sure that our kids are safe. And he exemplified what it means to truly care for our students. He was acting swiftly, very calmly, and with great compassion. So we are grateful for Mr. Dela Cruz's dedication to the well-being of our students. And so I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to recognize him here tonight.
You got staff,
That's awesome. Okay, great job, Mr. David. All right, and I think we have some special students here from Wedgeworth and from Dunaway.
Hi, Jamie, we're not here yet. The Dunaway kids can go
Oh, okay. That's fine. Mr. Austria, are you okay if we go on for a couple of informational reports and then?
Our next item will be our open forum. This is the portion of the board meeting where the board receives input from our patrons. Each person who addresses the board will have 5 minutes to speak on his or her issue. Because of posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not ask questions of the patron, nor answer any questions posed by the patron. No action can be taken on any issue presented during the patron comment section of the board meeting. Patrons addressing the board will be notified when they are approaching the last 60 seconds of their allotted time to speak. When I call your name, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Barry Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs, state your name and address for the record, please. Ms. Timmerman here to my left, your right will be your timekeeper.
Sure. My name is Barry Jacobs. I live at 610 Kaufman Street here in Waxahachie. I have 2 kids at Global High School, and I'm here to speak on their behalf about an issue that I raised with you last year that has not been resolved. For the benefit of our 2 new trustees and welcome, I'll go back over that. My kids are members of student organizations at Global, and I'll speak about one of them, which is the Student Council. Student Council raises funds through the year, and it does all sorts of philanthropic things. One of the things that my son is in charge of is something called the Giving Closet, where they buy food and staples that's free to students and families that need it. And one of the problems that they've run into is if they want to buy water, bottled water, as a staple to give away to needy families, they have to go through a purchase order process with the district to get the money that they've raised back, that the district is holding as a fiduciary for these organizations. And when they do that, the district insists that they buy their water not at Walmart, where it's cheapest, but from Keurig Dr. Pepper, with which the district has a relationship. Now, unfortunately, Keurig Dr. Pepper charges 4 to 8 times as much as Walmart does for this water, which means that these needy families are being shorted, and the student organizations are being forced to spend more money than they should in order to satisfy this relationship that the district has with Keurig Dr. Pepper. Now, when I raised this last year, Mr. Caldane said, well, we got this contract, and the contract benefits the district. It's a big benefit to the district. And that well and true may well have been true, but it's not a benefit to the organizations. And the district is a fiduciary for these organizations. So I know that you as trustees all understand fiduciary responsibilities. If you're a fiduciary, you have to act in the interest of the entity that you're a fiduciary for. So I know that you all understand that if you went to Keurig Dr. Pepper and said, hey, I'd like a Coke machine in my man cave, I'll have the district buy all of your products at an inflated price if you'll put it in there. That may be a great deal for you, but it's not a good deal for the district. And if you did that, you'd be in jail. Now, the reality is when the district does that to these organizations, it's in exactly the same position. It's essentially forcing our kids to subsidize its relationship with Keurig Dr. Pepper. And in fact, I have a letter that Mr. Caldane sent to the district leadership that says, yeah, we recognize that we're never going to be able to get the prices from Keurig Dr. Pepper that you could get at Walmart. But Walmart doesn't provide a vending machine for every campus, and it doesn't service that vending machine. Well, you know what? That vending machine's in the teacher's lounge. Why are our student organizations being forced to subsidize a Coke machine in the teacher's lounge? And especially when it's literally taking money away from the philanthropic activities that they're doing that would be providing a benefit to needy students in the district. This is wrong. Trustees, I submit to you that it's illegal, and you just shouldn't allow it. And I don't care that if it's a huge benefit to the district. It's not a benefit to these organizations. And as Trustee Cooper said in his convocation, which I think is absolutely appropriate, we need to put our kids first. That's where our thoughts should be. So I'm asking you to direct Superintendent Hollingsworth, to direct Mr. Caldane, to stop requiring these organizations to purchase at ridiculous, 4, 5, 6 times inflated prices. It's just not right. You'll be hearing from my son. He'll give you more detail on specifically what we're talking about. But guys, this contract has expired. The district is not even legally obliged to continue with it. They're just doing it now because of this relationship. And frankly, I just don't see that that's right. Thanks for hearing me. I appreciate your time. And thank you all for your service.
Eric Jacobs. Please step forward and state your name and address for the record, please. Mrs. Timmerman to my left or right will be the timekeeper.
Thank you. My name is Eric Jacobs. I live at 610 Kaufman. And I serve as the head representative of the Student Council, the student body, and the Esports Club at Waxahachie Global High School. Part of my job as that representative involves me scheduling events for my school, partaking in community service activities, and sticking up for my fellow students. I think that's really important. District, even though earlier this year they canceled their contract with Dr. Pepper and are no longer under any legal binding to continue with it, requires that every student and student organization purchase all beverages that they wish to purchase through Pure Dr. Pepper. While I myself am a fan of Dr. Pepper, I drink it at home, I like it. It is undeniable that this does impose a very intrusive constraint on what we can do with our own money that we fundraise ourselves. You know, the prices they demand are asinine at best and expletive at worst. Like my father said, upwards of 4 times the prices you could get wholesale at Walmart or at any grocery store in the city of Waxahachie. We're next to HEB at Global, I could walk over. But currently, I have to spend obscene amounts of money to provide the families I care about through my donation giving project with water. I mean, I think that's horrible. I think that's obscene. You know, as a result of this policy where we have to go through Pure Dr. Pepper, we're getting screwed over. I mean, as a result, the student council, HOSA, prom, esports, the student body, the culture club, all of us really are being forced to spend obscene amounts of money. I mean, they have a 10-case minimum for every purchase. 10 cases. We barely make $200 on an event, you know, and 10 cases at $20 each just to get water, that's insane. I mean, we cannot survive like that. It really, really upsets us as the students and as the student body to have to go through this, especially when there's no legal backing for it anymore. Trustees, board, Superintendent Hollingsworth, I ask that you do what's in the best interest for students like me, for student organizations, and find a way to fix this. Because ultimately, the people you're hurting with this is the student body. Thank you. Do the right thing.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next item will be our public hearing. Tonight we'll be holding a public hearing regarding the Waxahachie ISD 2022-2023 Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas Rating. Following the presentation, we will invite the public to approach the podium and provide any input on the subjects at hand. The public hearing will begin with a presentation by Ryan Calder, Chief Financial Officer for WISD. Calder?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board. Dr. Hollingsworth. As stated by President Autry, tonight we are doing a public hearing on our first rating. This is the 22-23 set of data, so the audit report and relative information sent to TEA during the 22-23 school year creates our 23-24 first rating. First is an acronym, it's Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. It is codified in the administrative code as a requirement of all school districts. There are 21 indicators for the 23-24 rating, and the districts can earn any one of 4 achievements: superior, above standard, meet standard, or substandard. Again, it's all based off 22-23 audit report and fiscal data. There were 2 indicators this year that were not evaluated, and we'll touch those as we go through. Statewide, about 98.5% of districts passed the first rating. So 1,002 districts out of 1,017 passed, about 1.5% or 15 districts did not pass. Wanted to kind of show you where we've been and where we're going. There were 919 districts last year who earned a superior rating, 870 this year. So we're seeing a significant decrease in the top end of the ratings. I don't believe it's necessarily due to a change in practice amongst districts. I think generally it comes back to most of these are budget and finance based, and so we all know that schools are experiencing a little bit of a challenge in that area. 8% earned an above standard rating. That number is 82 districts. That's up from 50 the previous year. Relatively the same, 50 districts earned meet standard, about the same from the previous year, 41. And then 15 districts earned a substandard achievement, and that was up from 8 the previous year. There are 5 pass-fail indicators as part of the first rating. The district did pass all 5 of these. Essentially, did you do an audit? Did you have it submitted on time? Did you have any significant or material weaknesses in internal controls? Did you get an unmodified opinion? Are you in a position where you have to have a modified repayment schedule for due requirements like Texas Workforce Commission or IRS payments? And then did you have an unrestricted net position of greater than 0 at the end of the year? Indicator 6 was your fund balance. Did your fund balance reduce over the last 3 years less than 25%? The district saw a 2.6% increase in fund balance over that period, so we're in the full 10 points on that indicator. Indicator 7, number of days of cash on hand. The district had roughly 88 days of cash on hand at the end of the 22-23 fiscal year. That was good enough for 8 points out of a possible 10. 90 is the threshold for 10 points. So we are just shy of it, but a significant increase from the previous year where we had about 82.5 days of cash on hand. Indicator 8, ratio of current assets, current liabilities. Do you have the ability to pay your current obligations is essentially what this one's asking. The district had a multiplier of 8.4, which was good enough for 10 points. Previous year, the ratio calculated a 2.3 ratio, which earned the district 6 points. So marked improvement on the district standpoint of having current assets to meet our current liabilities and obligations. Indicator 9, general fund revenues exceed expenditures. The whole goal here is are we budgeting appropriately? Are we budgeting our revenues and expenditures the way that they should be? In 22-23, our revenues exceeded our expenditures, and we also had more than 60 days of cash on hand. There's a fail-safe on this one. If your revenues did not exceed your expenditures, do you have at least 60 days cash on hand? So revenues did exceed expenditures, and we did have cash on hand greater than 60 days. So we're in the full 10 points there. Indicator 10 was not actually reviewed this year, so we don't have a score on it. It is a relatively new indicator, so we're not exactly sure when it's going to be scored and exactly what it's going to take to meet the expectations of the state, as this is the second year in a row that it has not been scored. Indicator 11, ratio of long-term liabilities, total assets, again, a condition of financial health. Will the district have the ability to repay long-term assets or long-term liabilities, excuse me. We calculated out to 81.74%, a ratio of 60% is expected for maximum points. We also had enrollment growth exceeding the base expectation of the state, so we did earn the full 10 points in that indicator. Indicator 12, will the district have the ability to pay off future bonded debt? And in terms of calculation from the state, we came out with a 5.75. Expected outcome was less than 4. So we're a little, this is going to measure how much bonds we have outstanding. So as a district, in a growing district scenario, you would expect that our bonding amount of bonds outstanding would be a little bit more than a district who was not growing. So it's not super unexpected as a district that we would have a large number of bonds outstanding. We did earn 80 points out of a possible 10, and that's relatively in line with where we were the previous rating year. 2013, or indicator 13, administrative cost ratio, it's looking at our administrative expenses relative to our instructional expenses. The goal is less than 8.5%, 8.55% as a district. Our administrative costs were about 8.39%, which is relatively unchanged from the previous year, and earned the full 10 points available for that indicator. Indicator 14, student staff ratio, is looking at is the district reducing teaching positions at the expense of student instruction. Overall, the district did not see a decrease of more than 15% in our enrollment, in our student staff ratios, and we also had increased enrollment, so we did earn the maximum 10 points on this indicator. Indicator 15, again, another new indicator that hasn't been scored since it came into place, so we're not exactly sure what we're looking for on this one. We'll get some more details when TEA defines what exactly we're looking for with pupil projections. Not scored, so and it has not been scored since it became an indicator. Indicator 16 is essentially a repeat of one of the past fails. So did our audit report data compare to our PEIMS data? So the audit report data that's submitted to TEA, did the data that we submit as part of the Public Education Information Management System match it within 3%? We did have a variance of $60,000, which was about, what is that, 0.05%. So it is well below the 3% threshold. We did earn the full 10 points on this one. Indicator 17 was the audit report free of material weaknesses and internal controls. Ours was with no findings, so a full 10 points earned there. Indicator 18 was the audit report free of material noncompliance. Ours was free of material noncompliance, full 10 points earned there. And indicator 19, required financial postings. We are compliant with requirements for the financial transparency postings as indicated by our financial transparency awards from the comptroller's office. We earned the full 5 points on that indicator. Indicator 20, or do you remember in the summer we have a conversation about property taxes? We generally do that with our third budget workshop, roughly at the end of July or 1st of August. That's all a requirement of the first ratings. Within 120 days of adopting the budget, we have to have those conversations about taxes and tax rate. And so we were compliant because we do that roughly 30 days before the budget's adopted. And then indicator 21, we did not have an adjusted repayment schedule of more than a fiscal year. We did not have a repayment schedule period, but we did not have an adjusted repayment schedule, so we were compliant. So we are in the pass of that indicator as well. Overall, the district, we earned 96 out of a possible 100 points for the 23-24 rating year, which is up from 92 possible points earned the previous year. It is a superior rating, and the district has earned a superior achievement every year since 2022-2023 when the first rating came into effect. The only year that we did not was 2014-15, and the only ratings that year were pass-fail. So it is a great accomplishment by Ms. Ross and Ms. Waldo and their entire teams to get these amazing results. But with that, sir, it is a public hearing. I'll turn it back over to you for the remainder.
At this time, are there any individuals that would wish to speak concerning the Waxahachie ISD 2022-2023 Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas Rating? Once? Twice? Okay. The public hearing is now closed. Okay, I believe now all of our people here for recognition, is that right, Ms. Bridges?
That's correct,
All right.
yes. I'm sorry we were
So,
a little disjointed. Scroll back. And I would like to ask Stephanie Heimbach to come up, please.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Hollingsworth. I would like to ask Mrs. Newsom, Mr. Bell, and Alexandra Fabre to join me here to present this recognition tonight. So tonight we'd like to recognize Woodhouse Construction. They generously agreed to donate new kitchen cabinets for our 18-plus renovation that's currently going on here at the current Coleman Junior High building in the old art wing from the traditional Waxahachie High School. Alexander, did you know you were getting a new 18-plus home? Yeah, we've been planning for it, haven't we, for a while? All right, so thanks to this wonderful donation, in addition to a conjunction effort between Andy Reeves and his support services team and Woodhouse Construction, this new learning environment will start for our 18-plus students in January of 2025. And so Tyler Edmondson is here to accept this honor for Woodhouse Construction. Tyler, come on up and join us. So here's our current room where the kitchen cabinets will be. This was the old section of the art room that held the clay baking kiln. And had some original kitchen cabinetry in there for various needs for the art rooms. Mr. Cagle, you may remember those pretty well. All right, so thank you, Tyler, so much, and Woodhouse Construction for this wonderful donation.
Yeah, this is the list.
That's why I'm lucky in my role. I just want to say that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Evans.
Okay. Alexander, you look beautiful. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Woodhouse. All right, board, and finally this evening, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, so in case you didn't know, Hispanic Heritage Month ends today, but we have got some kids from our dual language programs at Dunaway, at Dunaway and Wedgeworth. So can I get my speakers to come up, and then we'll bring in our dancers in just a moment. Who's first?
Hispanic Heritage Month is a month-long celebration of Hispanic and Latino history and culture. From September 15 to October 15, we give an extra recognition to the many contributions made to the history and culture of the United States, including important advocacy work, vibrant art, popular and traditional food, and much more.
El 15 de septiembre es importante porque marca los aniversarios de la independencia de 5 países latinoamericanos: Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras y Nicaragua. México y Chile celebran sus días de independencia el 16 y 18 de septiembre respectivamente.
Las latinas y los latinos siempre han desempeñado papeles importantes a lo largo de la historia del nuevo país. El mes de la herencia hispana es importante porque brinda una oportunidad para celebrar el papel fundamental que ha tenido la comunidad hispana o latina en el crecimiento y fortalecimiento de nuestra democracia.
Today, the Latino Hispanic population in the United States is over 60 million, which is the largest as entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, entertainers, scientists, public servants, and much more.
Además de la herencia hispana, es una especialización de la historia y la cultura hispana y latina. Del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre damos un reconocimiento especial a las muchas contribuciones realizadas a la historia, la cultura de los Estados Unidos, incluido a un importante trabajo de defensa, arte librante, comidas populares y tradiciones y mucho más.
September 15 is significant because it marks the independence anniversary of 5 Latin American countries: Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Mexico and Canada celebrate their Independence Day on September 16 and September 18 respectively.
Latinas and Latinos have always held significant roles throughout our country's history. Hispanic Heritage Month is important because it provides an opportunity to celebrate the integral part of the Hispanic Latino community has had in growing, has strengthened our city.
En la actualidad, la población latina y hispana en los Estados Unidos supera los 60 millones, lo que la convierte en el grupo racial o étnico más numeroso. Los latinos siguen contribuyendo a impulsar nuestra economía y enriquecer nuestra nación como empresarios, deportistas, artistas, animadores, científicos, funcionarios públicos y mucho más.
So a different group is going to do it for us. So let's get these pretty pictures first, and then we'll let our visitors come in.
Dr. Denton, you want to come?
sure.
So they said,
No, we don't let anybody get out of pictures except for me. Great job, you guys. Thank you so much. All right, then can we get our folklorico dancers to come up? I'll do this separately. Okay, and technology, can you? Are y'all ready for your music?
Ms. Bartolo is our teacher, she's the one that, taught how to do this.
Fantastic. All right, look right here at me, y'all. Perfect, so good, and I think that's others. No, you got you, okay.
Crazy mamas.
Great job, you guys. Thank you so much for Dr. Collinsworth.
Moving into our report section of our agenda, our first report will be the superintendent's report. Dr. Collinsworth.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Bring to you tonight our superintendent's report. As I do each month, here is how we ended September with our monthly enrollment and our average daily attendance. We ended with 11,210. It was in September that we passed the 11,200 mark for the first time as a district. Our ADA is kind of tracking where it normally does. We're about 95.25%. 10,461 was our average daily attendance as we ended September 3rd. Now I wanted to take the board just kind of on a walk down memory lane because I wanted to remind everyone about our bond presentation that we offered during the spring of 2023. And I also wanted to just kind of revisit the notion of how we presented a freshman center. And so I wanted to point out, this was, and I've only brought 2 slides from our bond presentation, but this is the one that we showed many, many times that shows 2 phases of our 17,000 plus student plan. The top line up here, you'll see, represents our 3 new elementary schools, one of those being Wildman STEAM Academy, and 2 of them being neighborhood elementary schools. So we've already opened one of them. One of them is Jimmy Ray, and in the fall of 2026, we anticipate opening up Frankie Lou Jett Elementary School. The middle row right here, those 3 bigger schools, those represent our junior high schools. It is there that we told the community that we would do renovations and additions at our 3 existing junior highs. In one case, moving a junior high, moving Coleman across the street to the Hancock building. You know that construction's taking place. Y'all know that we've also begun our construction at Finley, and we've begun our construction at Howard, all to fulfill that part of phase 1. The next part down here, you'll see the big school graphic there represents Waxahachie Creek High School, which is the construction of a second 3,200 student capacity comprehensive high school. The next part, we partially were successful on the bond. You know that we included facility upgrades throughout the district to promote the equality of our campuses. That's Proposition C, and we are well underway toward completing Proposition C. The one that was for athletics was Proposition D, and that is the one part of our bond election that was not successful. That graphic right there, that last graphic, was for setting aside money for land. And so those are the discussions that we shared with everybody. And we also talked to them about, to get to that 17,000 plus point, we will have a phase 2. And that's where I would tell everybody that probably in about the spring of 27, we'll come back, we'll ask voters for another bond where we'll ask for 2 additional elementary schools and junior high number 4, right? This is the next piece, and this is the one that mentioned a freshman center. But I want you to notice the date. The date was in August of 2024. We hoped in August of 2024 to have elementary number 10 finished. We hit the mark there. We finished Jimmy Ray Elementary School. The one we could not get finished by August was the new Wyoming STEAM Academy. And that's one of those things where sometimes construction doesn't work out exactly the way you think it's going to, and so we are not going to be able to move in. Obviously, we're not able to move into our new Wyoming by August, but we will move in January. And so when we were not able to do that, that meant that this one right over here, if you look on the right-hand side, we talked about the things we would do. Temporarily house a 9th grade center at the current Coleman building. That was the old high school. That's where we had that discussion. I want to be real clear. There is no money in the bond. There never was any money in the bond for a freshman center. That was simply something that we talked about doing. At this time, we were thinking it was going to be for 24-25, 25-26, 26-27. When we were unable to open New Wyoming by August, that meant we couldn't make those other moves to make the old high school available for a freshman center for, at that time, what we were hoping would be 3 years. So that means now we're down to 2 years that we would be able to use that freshman center. Also, since this time, our financial picture has changed because of the state. So as we discussed in September, it puts us back in a situation where we would have been doing renovations over at the old high school now for only 2 years of a freshman center. All right, 2 other things I wanted to point out to you, and you have this at your spot here on the dais. This is the actual board agenda item dated February 13th, 2023, to approve the resolution to adopt our long-range plan for 17,000 students. This is the official 17,000 plus student resolution that y'all adopted in February of 2023. And I'd ask the board to go to the last page. If you go to the last, the last page, you'll see phase 1. And you'll see everything that's included in phase 1. And if you look right there, you'll see under number 2, you'll see all of the anticipated costs associated with phase 1. The new Wyoming STEAM Academy costs, elementary school number 10 costs, Hancock building expansion to become Coleman Junior High's costs, Findlay Junior High additions and renovations, Howard Junior High addition, elementary school number 11, that's Frankie Lou Jett Elementary, land for future sites, the money for comprehensive high school number 2, Waxahachie Creek, and then you'll see our food service replacements, and then you'll see those Proposition C items, capital improvements for existing campuses. And then finally, the one that did not get approved by the voters was that WHS athletics facilities expansion. So I brought this to you because I wanted you to see again the actual resolution that was adopted by the board in February, and I wanted to point out very clearly that it never included any money for that freshman center. So it's not necessary for the board to adopt a different 17,000 student plan than what you adopted back in February of 2023. Does that make sense? And so that's what I wanted to point out very clearly to you and to our viewers at home. Last thing I wanted to share with you is our plans for our October 21st 3D Day, our District Deep Dive Day. These are the plans for elementary. Our elementary folks, and you can just kind of look down through there. Notice that they will have a session from 8:30 to 11:30 focused on our new resources, on planning. In some cases, they have campus principal specific training on that morning. But the afternoon is left for our professional learning communities, our collaborative teams, and it's also left for teachers to have some time in their classrooms. That's the model that our teachers have said very clearly that they really, really appreciate. This is the information for our secondary schools. So our secondary campuses, that's 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, those teachers have big plans next Monday as well. And I wanted to share those with you. So with that, that concludes my report. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain those.
Questions for Dr. Oliver?
Thank you, sir.
Our next report will be our informational bond 2023 construction update. Mark?
Good evening, Board. Dr. Hollingsworth. I'm here to give you your bond 2023 update. So we're going to talk about Jimmy Ray. Jimmy Ray is 100% complete. The thing we're doing right now is going through confirming all the punch list items have been completed to how we wanted them completed. Make sure we didn't miss anything on that punch list there. We have installed the window film, the safety film that we're required to in all our schools that has been installed in the building as of now. That building is going to be at least 1.8 million under budget, as we're seeing right now. And we'll be bringing all the closeout documents and everything that to the November board meeting, so then we can start to release retainage to all those the subs that have done work for us on that building. Any questions on that one? Wyoming Steam, we're about 80% complete there. We're working on getting the gas installed in the building. It will be fully installed by the end of the year. We may have some temp tanks. You may see some temporary tanks out there in between there so we can run the heat, some things like that during that time before the gas is fully installed, so we can start testing HVAC units. We can start testing the stuff in the kitchen, those kind of things we'll have to have for CO and temporary CO and those kind of things. We may have some of those out there, but that's only going to be for a short term time. Then casework's about 90% complete. Main thing left there is all your cabinet tops that we couldn't put in until we were fully air conditioned in the building, but they have started putting those in. Our flooring started last week. We're doing painting touch-ups, things like that. Electrical's still doing some things throughout there, those kind of things. They're all doing the touch-ups and finals on a lot of that. And we have started up all our HVAC units have been started up and tested throughout the building. We're currently running about 2.4 million under budget there. Show you some pictures from that one there. So there is your September 4th and your October 9th pictures. In October 9th, you can start to see a lot of the grass is going along the highway. Everything starts to be smoothing out. You got the awning across the front that wasn't there. Those kind of things. Since those pictures have been taken, we've started. The playgrounds are starting to go in. We're going to start seeing some of the covered area in the area between the library and the cafeteria. You'll start to see those start to go in. But a lot of the work that you're seeing is interior versus exterior right now, besides the big stuff, the playground and stuff. As soon as that playground's finished in, you'll see all the grass and everything go in the back, all those kind of things. So there's just a big overview. You can see the awning there in the front, and how things are starting to really start to shape up around that building. Everything's starting to be cleaned up, so we're getting ready for the final run of everything there. There's a picture of the front of the building there. You can see the awning there. You can see the wood look. It is an aluminum siding. It's not a plastic siding. It's not a vinyl siding, so it's not going to warp. It's not going to lose its color, those kind of things. And then we have the Alcubon sidings. You can see it looks like the metal around at the top and on the edges there. That's another siding that really adds some character to it. Actually, we're going to have some of that same kind of that you'll see in the finish touches at Finley. We'll be using that same along the top and around the front of the Finley when we get to that with the Alcubon siding there. And then up in the top right, you can see where we brought into the library and some little study nooks they have in the library where there'll be carpet in there where kids can climb in there and read and stuff like that. We have brought that same wood look into there. And that bottom right picture there is the main hall right past reception. So you can see it adds a really nice texture to it there with that white tile and things like that. It's the same tile that's on all the wet walls and things like that throughout the building and bathrooms and everything. Then we're going to go to that big picture there is actually one of the classroom pods. You can see it's starting to get really finished out. You can see the ceilings are done. They've gotten the floor grinded down, ready to start putting, that's actually the first hall that got the flooring started going in. You can see all the ceiling tiles. So you kind of see a finished product there besides the flooring. You kind of see a finished product there in that hallway. You can see we're still touching up a few little places here and there that they'll be touching the paint up, but you can kind of see what it's really looking like. Picture in the top right there is the actual, I believe that's the creation station there. It's one of the maker spaces. The picture in the bottom right there, that's actually a classroom with its cabinetry, those kind of things that you see in a classroom. Then we're going to go to the next one. You can see, so that's your main hallway that goes left and right in the building. It's the main spine of the building. So you can see there's 3 different colors there. You see the green up top, you see the red around an area, you can see the little blue areas. You're going to see that theme throughout the building. All those that had to do with certain things. The green is a classroom hallway. When you go to that, you know you're going down a classroom hallway. The reds, those will all be framed out for all the maker spaces. That'll all be on the edges where there's maker spaces, Lego rooms, tinker's areas, creation stations. All those different areas like that will all have those red fronts like that. And then the blue is all the stairwells. So it's easy to guide kids to know where we're going throughout that building and all that. So it's a very common theme throughout that whole building. And you see the picture there on the top right. That is actually your back area looking from one of the playgrounds at the back building there. You can see how it looks like between the pods, that area there, that they'll be doing some different things. The school itself will be doing some different things, some gardens, things like that, growing spaces. The area there is the actual stair, that's a stairwell. We have that on the back of each one of the pods there, and it has a closed-in area so kids aren't going to be falling off railing, can't jump off or anything like that. It is a safety feature there. Then the bottom right, that is your gymnasium. You can see it has all the sound panels with the multiple colors and those kind of things in it. Adds quite a nice look to that building. That is also your storm shelter. Any questions on that building? We're going to Hancock. Hancock's about 60% complete. We're still working the storm shelter, band hall, athletic locker room, the classrooms are all ongoing. We've started the brick in the backstage area. We'll see a picture of that. And we're currently under a budget about $750,000 on that job. So here's a picture of the overview. The big thing I want you to see is you can see in the October 9th in that upper left-hand corner where the storm shelter is, you can see we started laying the metal beams there along for the second story floor there and that. Then up in the upper, about middle section on the right, you can see where the band hall is really completed structurally. It's completed. Now we're starting to lay some metal in for the roof and all that. We'll get another picture here of that. And then you can see there in the bottom of that picture there on the right of October 9th, you can see where the old building, where the brick is on that old building. You can see where that corner is, where that yellow is. So understand, that is the corner of the cafeteria. We increased the cafeteria space and did not increase the roof count or the foundation of that building. We were able to take it from where it was, take it out to the edge of what was already on that building, and probably increase it at least a third of what was already there. So that's a nice feature that we had there available, that down the road when this building was built, we could do those things and not have to add structural foundation and structural roof on that to make it bigger. So it was a savings in that. So here's an overview of what I was just talking about. You can see the structural steel up in the upper left. In that mid right there, you can see where all the gray is. You can see the band hall itself. You can see the offices and those kind of rooms, the ensemble rooms across, and the main hallway is going to go down between them and all that. So you can see the structure is really starting to take shape around there. Here's some pictures of inside the storm shelter there. That's the actual structural steel for the support for the second floor that they've started to put in there. That's both on the left and right, same areas. Then we're going to go into the band hall area. That's the first beam that was flown in this morning there at the band hall area. And the area there on the right is where we started bricking that one area I was talking about. That's the actual back of the stage. That was added on to the cafeteria. It's the only added piece to make the cafeteria, but it made us have a stage area comparable to what Finley has and Howard has now. This area here is a classroom that they're going to start taping bedding tomorrow. This is on the first floor, the main part of the building that we added on. It is not the storm shelter, it's just the main part of that area. So it's just a normal, that's actually a science classroom, I believe, that they'll be adding on to it. Or start taping bedding and everything as part of the new house. Any questions there? So we're going to go to Family Junior High. Everything's been issued there by the city. We have one more meeting, just as a pre-con meeting as for utilities, just to discuss some of the things that go there, but it's not holding anything back. We're about 5% complete. We are, demoing is ongoing there, and actually starting to slow down a little bit there. We've done most of the demo in that building. Externally, next summer will be a whole different story. We'll be really demoing the inside of that building. That'll be a very large process once we get to there. And the underground utilities are about to start there at that building. Here's some of the pictures there at the front. You can see how all that old awning and all that, everything's been taken out. We're taking a lot of the brick that was there, that all through the different areas. You can see the bricks all coming out and everything. So we'll be leveling all that up, and that'll be where we're adding on the offices in the front. And then next summer we'll actually go in, or actually it's probably around spring break, I believe. We're going to actually go into the current office area then and start to demo that area so we can be ready by have it demoed, start it. By the summer, we'll be going in the main part of the building, the library, cafeteria. And at Christmas, we'll be going into the actual child nutrition serving area and start demoing it all out. So we'll have a temporary food line, and food will come from another campus for that. Here's a couple more pictures just in general, that same kind of areas you can see there. Like I said, there's been a lot going on there as you've driven by there and all that. So it is ongoing, but it's starting to slow down the demo side. We're going to start actually putting back in. Then we go to Howard Junior High. All the permits there are issued as well. We're about 5% completed on that. The main thing we're working on right now is getting the main power of that building relocated. That main power line right now, as it sits, would sit right under the cafeteria addition we're adding to that building. So we do have to move it outside of that. With that being said, we're relocating the bus loop into the parking lot right next to it, because the actual main power line will go right down the middle of that bus loop. So we're going to start tearing it up, dig it up right now. We started that today. We'll start digging it up so we can run the main power through there. It'll be about 3 weeks. We'll get that the main line put in, get everything concreted back. Thanksgiving is right now the plan to actually disconnect the main power into the transformer and connect the new lines into it. We'll do it that Thanksgiving week when there's no kids or anything in the building. You see a little picture there, that's the back side of the cafeteria. As you can see, all the brick has been removed and all that. That is where we'll be adding it. Right there in that area is where we'll be adding it onto the cafeteria part of it. And like I said, that main power goes, if you were drawing a line between those trees, it goes about 2 feet this side of those 2 trees. The main power line goes left and right through there. We'll go to Waxahachie Creek. So today we had a meeting with Poe, and they gave us the cost for that building at 75% drawings. So that was nice news there. We have submitted to the city. We've submitted for a zone change out there. We have also submitted the site plan and the plat approval. Zone change we're not worried about. It is something that had to be done at WHS as well. The main reason it has to be done is we're restricted at 36 feet for that building. So we're going to have an area of about 70 feet because of the fly area on the auditorium. So same thing they did at WHS. That's not unexpected. So we just have to apply for that. It'll go through the process. It'll go through the P&Z. It'll go through City Council and all those things. We've already turned all that in Friday. It all went back in, and I'm going through that process now. We're hoping to have it done, I think it's mid-November at the latest, have all that through there. And then right after that, we'll start playing in the dirt. As soon as we get the site plan approvals and we'll get an early grading permit, we'll start playing in the dirt late November, mid-November. We're going to have our second, third round, and some third round meetings with some departments that we feel we needed the third round meetings with WHS departments to discuss their areas that they have as to what they're looking at, casework, those kind of things, more what they need in the classroom versus the actual classroom itself. So we can kind of talk about, hey, we like cabinets, we don't like cabinets, those kind of things, what they see after they've been in WHS, what they like and what they don't like about that area. Any questions about Waxahachie Creek?
I know y'all been tweaking on the floor plan of that thing. How are y'all coming on that?
Well, we have tweaked it quite a bit. There's a few changes we had discussed recently on that is to open up a few areas. We're waiting on one area to have a couple of meetings with some departmental heads to see what we feel before we just move it and say, hey, wait, we don't want to move it multiple times, we want to drop one more time. So those meetings that we're having, the second, third rounds, we'll be having those discussions with them on those. And so we move it one time. We have a game plan on how we can move it. We just need to see how much we need to move it. Because we need to move something around in that area. It's back in the CT area, back in that area.
How's the pricing looking?
Pricing, so we got it back today. That project is built for construction cost of $290. We're sitting at $297. The first round, we got the first ones back, we were sitting at $296. Now, the one thing I do want to say is that's $297 million with a placeholder for an ag bond. When this bond went, we did not have an ag bond in the project. It was not put in the original. Stated it probably may not be needed because we had one in a split. We have put a placeholder of about $10 or $11 million in that to hold us because we feel that'll be confident we'll have plenty in there. So that 297 does have that $10 or $11 million, the $10 to $11 million places in that 297. So if you were to say we weren't building the ag building the ag barn. Sitting today, we'd be at
287.
280, no, not less than 286, 287, yeah, somewhere in there. That's where we'd be sitting, under budget. So we're only $7 million over, and we've put 11 million extra into it. We also still have about 15 to 18 million dollars in some contingencies, that design contingencies, material escalations, that we feel will absorb through it, and we'll have extra in that. Getting the 7 million coming down to the 290, no one is worried right now at all on that. POG is not, because like I said, we've seen some things change throughout, and prices come down in certain areas. One or two have gone up, but it's just because now that we're at 75 and even 90s, we've seen that everything start to sharpen really a lot. We've had, at the 50% drawings, we had over 190 suppliers ask and start bidding on it. So we're getting numbers, all of ours, but about, I think it's about 10, were actually numbers that came from subs that are supplying on the job. That POG feels confident in their number. It's not somebody that just said, hey, I wanna give you something for the flooring. And this is what it is. They feel confident in the numbers. They've dealt with them before. They feel confident in those numbers. So as we get, like I said, they just got 90% drawings on Saturday. They'll start sending those out. We'll be back in the November board meeting, I think is what we talked about, for the first early release package on it. And we'll probably be back in December for the second release package. And then March or April, sometime in there for the final GMP.
April is what they said, final GMP. And one of the things we were really encouraged by Mr. Schofield is they were talking about how much interest there's been in this particular project by their subcontractors. And so they had a lot of responses already. That's what gave them solid evidence that they feel confident that even with the $10 million set in there and set aside for an ag facility, they believe we'll get under the 290 that was originally forecast. So that was good news.
You're south of Dallas, it's a lot easier to get those together for it.
Well, and there's two big projects they've got, ours and one other high school they've got going on. There's some of their subs that have said, we want to pull out of that one and want to go to the Waxahachie. They like working down here. They've been happy down
It's
here.
on the northwest side of the Metroplex.
And a couple of them are subs that we've used on other jobs here that they're saying, hey, they want to come to work.
That placeholder is very generous. I know we can do that, but we'll be
Yes.
less than that.
And we'd rather have a little extra than not have enough when we put it in that place. Any other questions about anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next report by informational report on WISD's balanced scorecard priority 2, honoring support staff. Frank Colton.
Hello, Board, Dr. Hollingsworth. Tonight we're bringing you the balanced scorecard priority 2, honoring and supporting staff update with priority 2.1, staff recognition. Staff members, there's a little lag there. Okay, so staff members continue to be recognized monthly by the board and at the campus level. Our annual service awards gala was held in May to honor our retirees, those with 15 or more years of service, and and our teacher, rookie, and support staff of the year and Heart of a Warrior. The communications team pushes out recognitions of specific team members such as Custodians Day, Principals Month, and Texas HR Day. In 2.1B, Classroom Pathways, this year we hired 2 May 2024 graduates as instructional aides who completed their aide certification in our CTE department. They were hired to be aides at Felty. We hope to support them as they work on their bachelor's degree so that they can come back and teach with us. We also continue to have positive relationships with our university partners. This fall, we've placed 4 clinical teachers, 5 interns, and 38 observers. And finally, the classroom facilitator role that the board approved this spring is allowing 19 staff members to work towards their alternative certification. This will be an important pathway to help us grow our own teachers in WISD. In 2.2A, okay, the staff satisfaction and engagement. Planning has already begun for our spring 2025 staff survey. The HR team and the technology teams are working together to give an opportunity for staff to complete this survey in person with a focus on anonymity and security of their answers. Okay, in 2.2b, the campus rounds started in September and will conclude in December. These sessions include a discussion with the principal and key campus leaders, and then weekly feedback is shared back to the cabinet members, and we discuss that feedback and ways to address any issues that may come up. In 2.2c, we continue to monitor usage percentages for Care Solace and our Employee Assistance Program with a goal of helping staff to feel supported when they need help for themselves or for a family member. In 2.2d, financial literacy tips are sent out each month with timely topics. Most recently, we discussed budgeting and checking for accuracy on pay stubs. 2.2e, principals are regularly checking in with substitutes and providing feedback on classroom management, discipline, and materials. We recognize the substitute teachers of the month, and a principal or AP attends each of our sessions for substitutes, our orientation sessions, to help them know what to expect from the campus level. For 2.3, I'll ask Ms. Heimbach to come up.
All right, for 2.3a, our principals have worked to create schedules this year that allow core content teachers to have a protected PLC time. So our district steering team, in addition, has worked on this summer to create internalization protocols for Amplify Eureka that are consistently used at all elementary campuses. For 2.3b, principals and our district team perform weekly sweeps and walkthroughs in addition to the walkthroughs that we perform in our partnership with Ed Elements at our elementary campuses. And as we shared last month, when we did those campus walkthroughs, we did see over 95% of teachers using high-quality instructional materials across campuses.
I want to add, it's a really big deal that we have this built-in PLC time. That's something that not every district affords teachers and principals. And this has been just invaluable as we've done these new resources, because they're able to use that built-in time that they have every day for internalization of lessons and really understanding those new resources. And it's something that we simply wouldn't be able to do the work we're doing without that built-in time. So it's been really, really important.
And for 2.3c, we have weekly principal meetings with both our elementary and our secondary principals. And we are hearing what supports are needed from those principals for their campuses. And so in addition to their continued PLC work, we make adjustments in the TLI team that are quickly based on the feedback that we're hearing from teachers or from principals. So then we're going to move on to 2.4. And our 2.4 key strategic actions all revolve around investing in staff growth through professional learning and specialized training. So in order to give you the best update, I've asked two of our amazing principals to come and speak on this topic. And so if I could have Mrs. Authier from Wellman and Dr. Denton from Wedgeworth to come up and share how internalization is going on their campuses.
Good evening. My name is Kate Authier. I'm the principal at Wildman STEAM Academy. So I'm very proud of my teachers this year and how they jumped into internalization with H2IM, and they really dove into the materials. They're working very hard, and I'm incredibly grateful for them. Collaboration is evident each time they meet. They break down the content together, share ideas, teach and learn from each other, analyze student progress, reflect on their instruction, plan for intervention, and work as a team to ensure that they're successful. They also support each other across grade levels as well. They share tips and learning they've gained within the materials. We are all still learning and refining, working together to continue to grow in our practices. Each of my teachers has a growth mindset and models that for their students. We aren't afraid to ask for help when we need it, and we actually welcome the help. Both Ms. Tucker and Ms. Wittenberg have come over from TLI this year to support our teachers and answer questions. Most recently, Ms. Tucker provided support for several grade levels in math internalization and came back to provide teachers helpful feedback after seeing their lessons in real time. Ed Elements is also partnering with us to support our teachers, and we look forward to our campus day with them again in November. Ms. Harmon is our contact with Ed Elements, and we really love her. She's actually given me a lot of valuable guidance, answered our questions, and helped support us with steps to improve, and helped the leadership on our team as well. I also wanted to share, Dr. Hollingsworth mentioned about our schedule and how we put the internalization schedule together this year for our teachers to have that time to really dive into materials. And so part of that comes with our special teachers and our support staff. So they're the ones that go into the classrooms when the teachers are working together in internalization. So I did want to give them a special shout out because they've joyfully jumped into our internalization schedules to be in classrooms so teachers have that time. We couldn't do that without them either. The work we do is tough, but we get to do it together and we lean on each other for support, and it all goes back to our students. And again, super proud of our teachers and our whole team for coming together and the support that we get from Ed Elements and from TLI. So.
Good evening, I'm Julianne Denton, I'm the new principal at Wedgeworth, and I just want to reiterate what Dr. Hollingsworth just said, because I have worked in 3 districts across 2 states, and I have had a lot of deep work with PLCs and this concept of lesson internalization, but not to the level that WISD values. I really feel like as someone who is new to the district, there are a lot of things that draw teachers and leaders to WISD, but I really feel like the one component that is going to retain some high quality people is the emphasis that our district places on PLC time. 5 days a week, allowing teachers to come together to do some deep work that I have not seen in any other district that I've worked in, or all of the networking and relationships that I've built with people in other districts have not had that opportunity either. Ms. Athier shared some amazing things that are happening at Wildman, and the great thing about being a principal in this district is that weekly we get to come together to talk about what is happening in our PLCs and classrooms and to share strategies together so we ourselves can grow too. I know student growth is one of the most important values that we have here, but without teacher growth and administrative growth too, that student growth isn't going to happen. So I wanted to share just 2 very brief stories about the impact that I am seeing in classrooms right now as a result of this prioritization of PLCs and lesson internalization time. So at Wedgeworth and a lot of our campuses, math is an area that we are working to grow ourselves in. And I found myself last week in a 4th grade math class in a very funny but healthy debate with a 4th grade student over which multiplication strategy was the best to use to solve a problem. I am a standard algorithm all the way. I would assume many of us as we grew up, we learned maybe 1 or 2 ways to solve multiplication. In 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we are up to 10 different ways at this point in time with our new curriculum on ways to solve. And her argument was that partial products was the best way to solve. And I asked her, I wanted her to debate this with me, tell me why. And then I asked, when would this be difficult to use? And she was able to articulate as numbers got larger and digits got greater, this would be a more difficult strategy to use, but I would then use this. And that came out of a 4th grader's mouth in early October. In a 1st grade classroom, I had a portion of our math curriculum require students to try problems on their own without any adult intervention first. That's a very difficult thing for students to be able to begin on their own, and quite frankly, it's hard for adults to watch students try and grapple with something that's difficult without jumping in and intervening. And I watched 6- and 7-year-olds start a 3-step problem completely on their own without any hesitation, and that's not how it was in August. Students, we had some tears actually in August when we had questions like that. Later that day, I received a message from one of our teachers, a text that said, "Oh my gosh, I'm doing the application problem that we talked about in PLC and it went so well. I'm shocked at how much they're able to do on their own." Our new curriculum implementation has been equal parts exciting and a little bit messy, but anything that's new and hard can be a little bit messy. But the conversations that I see in PLCs and the deep work that teachers are doing together is really starting to flourish in the classroom. That is a testament to some excellent educators that we have hired in this district. but also some of the support we've received from the organization at Elements that I know this district has invested a lot of time and money in. And from the days we've been able to spend with them, our teachers walk out of that learning time feeling more confident in their next steps in the classroom. So thank you for choosing to invest in that organization as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions that we can answer?
Questions, comments? Thank you. Move on our next report by the informational reporter from DLK Architect on Waxahachie High School mascot and color selection.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're very pleased to have Jonathan Aldis here and Cody Jones from VLK. They have a lot of experience at VLK guiding districts through a very difficult task, which is let's determine the colors and mascot for Waxahachie Creek High School. And as y'all know, there is a lot of interest on the part of this community in making those decisions. And so we need help. And so we're glad that VLK is here to talk to us about how we can do that.
Very good. Dr. H stole my thunder. Cody has the title that I would love to have. Cody's title is Creative Manager. And so she gets to do things like this. As we talked about this the other day, I think it started coming up when we were talking about colors. I put the color board together for the high school and I could see the panic on your superintendent's face because colors are still out there. And so we finally said, you know, we have a way to do this. We've done this quite a few times. Texas has an issue of building a lot of high schools. So we've had to do this a few times with a few folks very recently. Opening that second high school is always it's a big issue for the district, not just the logistics of it, but who are you going to be? What does it all mean? So Cody's going to walk you through kind of the proposal for the process that we've used with a lot of success pretty recently. And she'll refocus you. I'll just give you part of it. You're not going to be a 2 high school town. You're going to be a 4 or 5, whatever that is. It's more than one. So this first one's the big transition. And so the process that Cody has designed and our team implements is really designed to help you think like that. This isn't just about Creek. It's about Creek in light of the fact that there will be Waxahachie High, Waxahachie Creek. Who knows what else the other ones are, and thinking bigger about that. And also kind of letting you get out of the process and let us step in and kind of help you with thinking everything through, from logos to mascots to uniforms, and what colors does Nike sell as standard in football uniforms versus whoever else. So with that, I'll let Cody kind of talk you through the proposed process that we're talking about engaging today.
Thank y'all. My name is Cody Jones. Like Jonathan said, I'm the creative manager for VLK. That means I have no background in architecture. My entire background is in branding, graphic design, and the implementation of that with committees and facilitation. And so that is a large part of what I do for VLK. Part of what I want to remind y'all at the beginning, like Jonathan just said, you're going to more than 1 or 2 high schools. You will inevitably end up at 4, maybe 5. And so we want to think broad. We want to think duplication and replicability, and how do we create a process that can work seamlessly for all of your future campuses as well. So what we're proposing for y'all's district, after talking with your leadership, is a 3-part process in order to get the high school branded as far as our mascots and our colors. So the first part of that process would be an open community forum. Right now we are looking at a 3-night format to do this, where it would be a mixture of students, parents, staff, community members in these meetings. And this would be a general overview of what that branding process looks like, as well as talking through color pathway strategies and what the application and implications of those color choices look like, and then discussing mascot pathways and giving the community a chance to pitch ideas and talk about things that they are interested in for the mascot, talk back to the group about that, try to build some steam and some consensus behind those ideas. I find that when we talk to the groups and we ask them to come out and pitch your idea and why does that mascot matter? That's where we're gonna get the why behind things versus maybe just a popular vote on social media. You don't necessarily get the intention behind it sometimes. It's a little bit more helpful to create a group consensus in a process like this for us. From there, what we have implemented with a couple other districts is that we take this to a 2-part committee meeting from here. This is typically a 40 to 50 member committee. We have students at each table, we have parents, community members, we've got board members, and we ask everybody to go through and work through a full process to help us determine the mascot and the colors for the campus. I'm gonna show y'all what that looks like in the district that we just did this for, so you get an idea of the process. So we just recently did this in Royce City for Worthy Fate High School. They're going to 2 high schools. They will end up at 5 or 6 when all is said and done as well. So over the course of 2 meetings, for our first meeting, what we did is we took our students through a competitive analysis and all of our committee members. And we looked up, who are you going to play every Friday night? Who are you going to play when you open? Who are you going to play when you're at full capacity? And what's the logo on the helmet next to you on the football field? And so it's a unique way for the students to think about who's in my area, what are other districts doing? Wow, there's a lot of cats. I really don't want to be a cat because that's everyone and their brother right now. It's a good way for them to look at colors as well, and for them, one of their big observations was, everybody was royal blue, so they knew they didn't want that. The second part of what we do in that day 1 is go through our color combinations. And what's really important in color combinations is that we can dream up any combination in the world. That does not mean Nike or Adidas can make it in a football uniform. And so when I talk to districts about color, especially districts that come from a primary color like green, one of the things I like to point out is that there may be multiple variations of green that y'all could implement across 5 high schools. There are not that many variations of green when it comes to uniform. So when it comes to ordering, one of your campuses inevitably ends up suffering because Campus A got first choice and Campus B got second choice, and none of the greens are quite right. And so we do encourage that we can do what we can to create a really distinct identity for our 2nd high schools and our 3rd and our 4th to make sure that we are opening up the opportunity for good uniforms for everybody. And so in this color study exercise, what we do is show examples of those color combinations in real life and try to get an idea from your community and your students and let them see what it looks like on a band uniform, in the hallway, fine arts, all that kind of stuff. And it's cool because they get to have a lot of conversation about how that color works and why they're passionate about that for their campus.
And you'll note the children you keep seeing, the students keep seeing here, while there are some high school age students, it is going to be biased more towards those children that are going to be attending there. And we know you don't have the attendance zones yet, so that's kind of what we're giving ourselves some time to. If we can get to that point, it's even better, but it certainly would be preferable to have the largest group of those students be those students that are actually going to be the first adapters. They're going to move on to this campus and march in that band uniform that they were part of the process for.
So the third part of that is the mascot discussion, and we like to give some guided pathways. We've got districts that want to stay in the dog family. We've got people that want to do dogs and cats. We have people that want to stay in the cat family. There's all kinds of stuff. So we like to provide some guided pathways so that people can pitch within those various pathways. And our goal with the process we're talking about for y'all would be that the town halls would create some pathways for us that we could then take to that more metered down community group and have a driven conversation about mascot concepts versus just a wide open one. That's just an example of what happens at the conclusion of day 1. We had an idea of where we wanted to go with the logo. They had 2 distinct colors that they wanted to explore between those 2 campuses, and they had 2 mascots picked out. As part of that smaller committee group, what we do is we ask each table to pick their favorite mascot concept and pitch it back to the group and explain the why to everybody. And it really helps create that consensus within the group instead of 50 people pitching their own opinion in that area. This is what we came back with day 2. So we showed them the applications of the 2 color concepts that they preferred, as well as the 2 different mascots that they preferred, and then let everybody vote again on what implementation of the logo that they liked the most. And we actually walked away with that meeting with our full branding suite. So we had colors, fonts, the logo, the application of what that logo was going to look like on a football helmet, on your dance floor, and it gave us a lot of opportunity to lock down their brand. The cool thing about this is we did this with their 7th graders who are going to open this new campus. So these kids aren't in high school yet, but they're already repping the brand for their new campus. The district has the opportunity to promote this on social media, so everyone is getting their head wrapped around the new brand years before this high school opens. It's really helped because your community gets behind it. We're doing the same thing in Liberty Hill right now. They've got graduation gowns. They have varsity jackets already hanging in the middle school, and the kids have been really, really excited about where they're going to go, and it really helps separate out that little brother of the new campus versus our established campus as well. Do y'all have any questions about the process?
What was Royce's the original high school color?
The Bulldogs.
No, the color.
Oh, they're gold and
Gold,
black.
so they got-
So Royce City made the conscious decision to carry gold through as their district color. And we actually selected all 5 of their future high schools' color patterns as part of this process.
That's one of the conversations. We know it's floated here. It'll be one of the ones we talk about too in color pathways. Is there a common color that stays through? Is the green the common color? That's part of that conversation, is just to put that out there. And you may not get all 5 high schools resolved. In their case, they were able to, once they made a decision, they were on a roll. They just kept going and block out the rest, which does help speed this up a little bit in the future. The mascot discussion's still open. But for them, they stayed with common gold.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next report by informational update on WISD bilingual ESL annual update. Ms. Solis?
Good evening, board. Dr. Hollingsworth, thank you for allowing me to spotlight our program again and give you an update on the progress of our program as well. Thank you for indulging us and finishing up Hispanic Heritage Month as well, so thank you for that. All right, so this is our, they were talking about the lag, here we go. To keep with the theme, I kind of, Hispanic Heritage, I did my slide presentation with the colors of Hispanic Heritage Month. I do want to start with, I'm not touching here. Yes, thank you. I will start, I'm gonna go ahead and keep talking, it's real simple. This is not a one-person job, and I've said that before, and I do have a team that works with me, so I do want my team, they stayed for this as well. If you guys will stand up real quick, and I'll go ahead and introduce you. I have Gloria Walker here on the on your right. She is the ESL coordinator and serves all ESL students. There it is. All ESL students in the district, but mainly at the secondary. She works very closely with the secondary content coordinators, and so we're glad to have Gloria with us. And then we have Claudia Gutierrez and Desiree Zarate. They are our dual language coordinators, and so they do all that they can to help and support our dual language program as well. Thank you guys. They do a lot more. They support not only the students, they support teachers as well. They work really close with the content coordinators here at TLI to support that as well. They work in collaboration with them. And I'm going to give a shout out to Gloria too. She works really close with Amberly Walker at the secondary level. And we've seen we've seen some good things happen with that. So there's a whole list of things that they do, but that's just limited. I mean, that's not even limited to all that they do. They really do work really hard. And there we go. So we're going to get into the evaluation as well. So we're going to look at our students, and the first slide that we're going to look at is the word emergent bilingual. This is just a positive way to identify our students. It came from being a negative connotation, limited English speaker, to emergent bilingual. Yes, they are limited in English, but they know Spanish, so they're not limited. Okay? Or they know another language, so they're not limited. They are learning another language, and so that's making them bilingual and emergent bilingual. So they're merging into that. Okay? And so there's a lot of history behind that, and a lot of fight for people to get that going. Over the last 4 years, here is our ED population, and you can see that the growth is there. We're growing every day, and we can see that as we're testing students left and right to see if they qualify or need the assistance of one of our programs. But we're at 10.4% this year, but last year we ended up at 9.83%, okay? It fell asleep with all of these presentations today, right? Does it work if I touch it? No. Any questions on population? you guys okay if I don't have it in front of me, but I can go ahead and go over some things as we're going, and then you guys, if you have questions as he's doing this, and I'll highlight some pages that I do remember. Here he goes. Emerging bilinguals, this is the breakdown of how we serve our students as well. By program model, we have in our bilingual dual language program, and that is pre-K through 8th grade. We have 403 EBs in that program, and we have 613 ESL students in the district. That's content-based and pull-out. Content-based is mainly at elementary. That's because their elementary teachers are self-contained. And so if they're in there with a self-contained ESL teacher, that is considered content-based. If they're not, and they're teaming with one side, if the ELR teacher is ESL certified and the math teacher is not, that's considered pull-out, even though it's teaming, okay? Parent denials, 81, we do have 81 parent denials. We try and we talk to these parents and give them all the benefits of it, but sometimes past experiences, we can't get past sometimes. So,
what would be the main reason why a parent would deny that?
Location. If it's for dual language, it's location. For ESL, they just want their kid, they don't understand. There's lots of brochures out there. We communicate with parents in their native language if it's Spanish, and we try, and it's just, sometimes it's hard. I mean, I get it. I'll just take my parents, you know, they had a hard time when they started here at Marvin as kindergarten or first grade students. They couldn't speak Spanish at all, but they couldn't speak English at all. But they didn't have any other way out. So people just learned the hard way. 81 to me, I think, is a good number for the percentage of students that we have, but we're still working on it. And they can change throughout the year too. If they decide I'm gonna deny right now, if they're struggling, we still support them. The state also passed another law over the summer that allows us to give support to denial students. So we have that part too to help them as well. So it's just personal, I think. Obviously, I mean, we all try to get them going. Our total, so 1,000, this is all last year's number, 1,997 students. So our opt-in students, these are students that choose to be in the program, there's 134 kindergarten through 8th grade. At that time, it's kindergarten through 7th grade. Let me talk a little bit about junior high dual language, because that's kind of exciting. To 8th grade now, our 8th grade students that started, we have a total of, 17 EB students, 6 reclassified EB students, and 1 opt-in. And then for 7th grade, 29 EBs, 2 reclassified, and 8 opt-ins. And then the 6th grade is our largest right now, is 39 EBs, 2 reclassified, and 9 opt-ins, okay? The reclassified, just in case you don't know, that just means that they met all the criteria for exiting as far as being an EB. They're considered fluent English speakers, okay? Our high school Spanish low credit, this is happening at junior high. So we have several students, and I'm going to start with 21, 22. So these kids are the ones that are in 8th grade. There's 10 that started, let me back up for a second. We were not prepared to test them at 5th grade at that time, and so they had to take the CDE in 6th grade. So at that time, 10 of them received their Spanish 1 credit through the CDE, and their Spanish 2 credit. So 10 that did it for Spanish 1 and 13 for Spanish 2. And now our 7th graders, grade students, they are able to take, this number 14 is 5th grade students that got their low Spanish 1 credit in 5th grade. And then the next grade is 16, these students that are in now 6th grade. There are 16 dual language students, okay, at 5th grade that received their Spanish 1 credit. So all of our students go into Spanish 2 when they get to junior high, because they will get credit for that Spanish 1 once they complete Spanish 2 completely, okay? They have a possibility for Spanish 4 all the way, okay? Another part of our evaluation is closing the gap. Closing the gap is making sure that our students are meeting those TELPAS and English goals. So 4 is the highest that you can get, 3, and then 2, 1, and 0, okay? And this is on listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Is somebody moving that for me, or is it moving by itself?
You got a guy moving it.
Okay. All right, that's what I was thinking, somebody's moving it for me. The academic progress, another part of it, and these are some glows and grows, and we have more glows than we do a grow. The academic progress of EBs is taken from the through results-driven accountability, academic achievements. So our glow, our biggest glow, I think, and this is one that we watch all the time, is the STAR EOCs at the high school. And so they've improved in all 4 content areas, with English showing the most gain. For our EVs to be showing the most gain in English is huge. Okay, and credit to Gloria, and I'll give credit, she worked so closely with those high school teachers to help this happen, and so I do praise her for that and give her the credit for just the collaboration that she has with those teachers as well. A grow, and we know this because of the process of the HTMI, but elementary STAR scores have not shown as much improvement as secondary support scores, but improvements as the secondary supporting the need for the HTMI. Okay, and I'm seeing the results now. I'm on the campuses, they're on the campuses. We're starting to see the gains happening now. And then post-secondary readiness, the GLOW graduation rate. This is only for our EBs, okay, is 91%. So that's a good number, and our dropout rate is 1%. Some more GLOWs and grows of closing the gap. Our GLOW is that as a district we met expected progress and growth. Waxahachie showed the most growth. Waxahachie High School, Global, Coleman, Dunaway, Cliff, Marvin, Biomedical, and Simpson all met the goals and showed growth and met their targets. There are some that need to work on some things, and so we collaborated on how we're going to support them. But Finley Junior High, Howard, Northside, Shackelford, Wedgeworth, and Felty did not meet interim or long-term goals, but they did show minimal growth. Okay. And Wildman did not count this year because they didn't have more than 10 EVs on their campus, but they will count next year. Almost done here. So Title III is another part of our department that we are required to do. And Title III is a federal program that we use to help support our EVs. And there's 4 things that we have to do. We have to show parent engagement, family engagement, community engagement, and support our students with supplemental activities. And so what you're going to see next are just some pictures of things that we do throughout the year. We just got through finishing this one. This is right off the hot press, and we were excited about this. We did this for the first time in January, and it was the coldest day ever. Okay, so we had very minimal people. So we did this in collaboration. I really like y'all doing that. Y'all want to finish? With this community event, we did the collaboration with our friend Ennis and Red Oak and Ferris, Maypearl, Midlothian, and ourselves in Red Oak. We collaborated together to present all of this. And so it was a community event. So we had community resources, we had colleges, and everybody there to help support the community event. He said, there we go. There's also part of the colleges that were there, and also Sims Library came and did a story hour, which helped meet the literacy portion that we needed to have. Another big family event that we have, and we usually have this in the spring, is our DL Art Night. And so students do things. All of our dual language teachers and Howard have helped and participated in putting these big old shows on. And these coordinators back here are good about helping us get these things together as well. But the families and the students, they all enjoyed the art night for sure. We have art night contest winners. And the last one on here is supplemental activities. We do have a summer program for our students, and this one was a fun one. It took the form of destination imagination kind of theme. We took our EVs and we had them create a food truck. They had to do it from the beginning to the end, the planning, the menus, and everything else that goes into it. We also had an emergent bilingual parent that has a little food pancake kind of thing that she has here in the district. She came and talked to the students as well and showed them all the steps that they needed to take as well. We had lots of fun doing that. The kids had fun. It was a big mess in this room. But anything to help leverage and help our students succeed in other areas as well. That should be it. So any questions?
Questions, Mr. Louise?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next report is our informational report on WISD policy review. Mr. Kagan?
Good evening, board. Dr. Hollingsworth. We went through a policy review. Oh, I guess I'm not on. back in the summer. And we got several staff members, as you can see, from across the district. Our TASB, Texas Association of School Boards representative, Paige Wimbush, and her colleague came, and we went through all the policies of the district. We ended up having suggested revisions on about, I think, 36 of those. It's about 67 pages, which will be coming to you this week. We did make some recent adjustments, and she is compiling that all into one nice, concise draft that as soon as I get that this week, I'll be sharing it with you so you can review it in much more detail. Certainly, if you'd like a paper copy, I can make that for you as well. But just real quickly, some overviews. Y'all have this summary in writing there for you to look at. This is just a quick one so that those that at home can see the policies that we're suggesting revision of. Some things are as simple as we put the new vision statement, the new core values. We changed some dates. As you can see, Mr. Calden's title changed CFO, as we've been using for a while. So the whole goal of this was to compare our policies to the other policies and districts that they work with, which are quite a few across the district, and to make sure that in reviewing with our staff, that our policies and our practices are aligned. This next set talked about some very hot topic of adding some language regarding AI. That shows up in a couple of our policies. Some compensation and benefits about the option of staff that are retiring, how they can use those days that they still have left. Some reference location changes. Here we have some changes to substantial aftercare clause, changing some simplified wording of superintendent's authority in certain transfers. This was a big one that also caused the delay of our draft. The SHAC committee just recently approved new goals, so that's going to be updated in there as well. And then one of the highlights on this page, changing the maximum number of allowed extracurricular absences to 15. Now again, this is all informational. We would like for y'all to review these, certainly submit any questions to me or Dr. Hollingsworth over these next couple of weeks, because we'd really like to bring before you for approval these revisions in the November board meeting, but we can certainly make any changes that we all see fit. The main thing here, y'all, is these next steps. So we'll be getting that draft to y'all this week. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Please look over it. It is a rather extensive document, but it is very important. I will say that TASB was very complimentary, and they were pleased with the level of engagement of our staff, maybe more than they see in other districts. So I think that is a great positive. But be on the lookout for that draft update, and then, as I mentioned, we'll be bringing this to y'all on the next board meeting for hopeful approval of those revisions. If you have any questions, I know that was a quick overview of a lot of dense material, but I'm sure we'll be talking in the coming days.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Thank you very much. Our final report, we got our informational report on the development of district and campus improvement objectives. Mrs. Amar.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. Hollingsworth. My informational report tonight is on the development of our district and campus improvement plans. We have 4 common priorities on all 3 our plans, our district and campus improvement plans, as well as our balanced scorecard. Those 4 priorities then become the basis for our performance objectives. And those performance objectives are common among all 3 of those as well. And those performance objectives are included in your board packet this evening, and we will be seeking board approval as part of a consent item later in the agenda. The DIP and SIP also include strategies that are developed at the campus and district level. Each spring, a comprehensive needs assessment, or a CNA, is conducted on all campuses and at the district level. DEIC and CEIC committees play a major role in the development of the CNA. There are 4 measures of data in the CNA: demographics, student learning, district processes and programs, and perceptions. Committee members pull from various data sources to develop problem statements and root causes. From this process, strategies are developed to address common performance objectives. DEIC and CEIC committees meet at least 4 times a year to evaluate our progress on the scorecard and the DIPs and SIPs. And all of those are living documents that allow us to make adjustments to those strategies as the needs of the district and campuses during the year. That's a really quick rundown on how we develop our district and campus improvement plans. Those living documents are housed in a program called Plan for Learning, and you can access them on the district website. Any questions?
You went there word for the short.
Well, I thought, that was last, so I was trying to be quick.
Thank you very much. Board, our next item will be our consent agenda. We have items A through N. Up for consideration. Any questions on consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items A through N.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Schoolfield. Second by Mrs. Tillman. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. All right, moving on to our action item. Action item A has been removed for consideration, so we'll move to action item B. Consideration of possible action to declare competitive seal proposals as the delivery method of the best value for the construction of an athletic field behind Hancock Building. Mr. Collins?
Thank you, sir. For tonight, we're asking for your consideration of a different delivery method for the Hancock project. As you know, the entirety of the Hancock project we did as a construction manager at risk project. But as Mr. Mott was detailing earlier, we have had some cost underruns, specifically at Jimmy Ray and at Wildman. So in hearing feedback from you about student safety, we would like to go ahead and expand that scope a little bit. We'd like to do that with a competitive sealed proposal engagement to put an athletic field behind the Hancock building so that we are not transporting students across the street of Indian Drive for their athletic practices and competitions. So very similar to the athletic field that's currently behind Finley. So you're looking at a football field, a track, stands that would seat less than 1,000 people. This is one way that it would be an expected project for a junior high campus. And because we're talking about seating less than 1,000, it does not need to be its own separate proposition or proposal as far as a bond would go. All that would be very commensurate with what we have behind Finley that the district owns, and also behind Howard that we use with the sports complex. And that's all I got for you.
Any questions for Mr. Collins?
What funds would be used to pay for this?
Yeah, great question. So this would come out of Proposition A, out of the bond funds. We have some cost underruns with Jimmy Ray, and we also have some cost underruns at Wildman that will allow us to fund this project under Proposition A bond funds.
So in Proposition A, is there any mention of athletics, funds being used for athletics?
Specifically, no. It would be generally within the idea of having a junior high campus. Part of that junior high campus is going to be including gymnasia and other athletic facilities to support the athletic programs at that junior high campus. We already have Solis Gym over at the Hancock building, so there's no need to build a gymnasium for competition purposes. So it would be one that is not specifically required to be spelled out because it is seating less than 1,000.
And when we did our bond, Proposition D, I believe, was the one that did deal with athletics,
yes,
and that one failed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep. And that was at Waxahachie High School specifically.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item B as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McCutcheon, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Tillman. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1. Okay, action item C would be consideration of possible action to approve a shift in the last 2 calendar days of the 2024-2025 school year. I will just say ladies, because there's like 3 of you listening.
Although Ryan gave us the clicker back, he was told not to. All right, Mrs. Mott, Ms. Burkholder, and I would like your consideration with possible action to shift how the 2 work days at the end of the year are utilized in order to honor and support our teachers. So we would like May 28th and 29th to be marked as potential flex days for teaching staff that have earned time in professional learning from the summer prior to this 24-25 school year, or before or after the school day during the 24-25 school year as documented in Edge 40 Stride. So this plan would not change what Mrs. Mott has submitted to TEA regarding our professional learning days, and still would be in alignment with the number of days that teachers would be required to work to fulfill their contracts. So teachers would earn 6 hours of professional learning outside of the school day for each day on this potential flex of May 28th and 29th. So they would need to either earn 6 or 12 hours for 1 or 2 days. So this change would honor and support our teaching staff and also allow us to provide continued professional learning in the areas of need such as gifted and talented, emergent bilingual and English learners, or students with special needs. Any questions?
You anticipate a high level of participation with this?
We are unsure of that answer.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item C as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tillman,
Second.
second by Mr. Cooper. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Board.
Action item D, consideration with possible action to approve the replacement of the geothermal HVAC system and 2 makeup air handlers at Felty Elementary by Texas Air Systems at a price not to exceed $1.6 million out of Proposition C funds.
Board, I'm not going to surprise you when I tell you that the geothermal system over at Felty has not been one that we've been super thrilled with ever since the campus opened. So Mr. Mott and his team have come up with a possible solution whereby we can abandon the well fields over at Felty, and we can instead use some chiller units. So we would use all the existing ductwork, all the existing infrastructure that's in place within the building. We would essentially cut off the well fields, put in chillers, and they would operate essentially the same way as the geothermal system was intended to operate. So we believe there was $270,000 in Proposition C, specifically for addressing HVAC concerns over at Felty. We have earned more than $1.6 million in investment earnings in Proposition C funds. So what we're essentially asking you is to utilize the $270,000 that was already budgeted in Proposition C, but also use those investment earnings so that we can make a whole system change over at Felty for the HVAC instead of trying to limp along with the existing geothermal.
Is this the last campus we have geothermal in?
No, sir. So we have 3. We have Felty, Howard, and Clift. This would be the first one that we'd be fully removing off of the well fields with the geothermals and going with a wholesale solution. We have pieces over at Howard that we've taken off, like the gymnasium. We've seen really good results from that, not only for the gymnasium itself, but the rest of the geothermal system by not having that load on there. We'll continue monitoring that. You may see further suggestions to completely rid ourselves of geothermal going forward, but we're going to continue monitoring that. It's just at Felty, it hasn't worked. Our solutions haven't worked at this point.
You promise to never bring another geothermal? Yes.
As long as I can stand here at the mic, I promise not to bring another geothermal unit, which, for the record, I did bring the first one.
I didn't vote for it either.
was an inherited, risk.
Yeah, I was under the mistaken impression that this was gonna get us out of the business of it, because I knew we'd done some of the work over at Howard, but there's a lot more at Howard. So luckily, as Mr. Collins said, it is working better, what we have over there. And the one at Cliff seems to operate better than the one we have at Felty for whatever reason.
Any other questions, Mr. Collins? Okay. Make a motion to approve action item D as presented.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Schofield. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. The last action item will be consideration of possible action to authorize the execution of a change order with Buford Thompson Construction for alternative at Howard Junior High to increase the price of the total project by $1,104,056.
Board, you may remember back in July when we were having conversations about the guaranteed maximum price of Finley and Howard, and all the steps that we've gone through to try to combine two relatively small renovation or expansion projects, combine their scopes to try to get better pricing. Going forward, at that time, we had mentioned there were some things that we'd really love to do at both campuses to make sure they were commensurate with Coleman Junior High as it was opening, but we were going to list those as alternates, and specifically those alternates were going to be some additional fine artwork at both campuses. The band hall, the drama spaces to try to inquire rooms, to try to get them more commensurate with what's going to be opening across the street in about a year. At the time that we did the guaranteed maximum price, we had an initial estimate of about $3.4 million for the alternate over at Finley and about $1.2 million over at Howard. Now that we've kind of lived through the completion of Jimmy Ray, we're getting really, really close to the completion of Wyoming Steam Academy, and we have an idea of where we sit budget-wise on the Hancock project itself. It'd be my recommendation that we proceed with the alternate work over at Howard Junior High. I do not see the funds available at this moment for us to continue with Finley. We will keep evaluating these projects as we get to completion and see if we can't do the additional work over at Finley in the future. But right now, we do have funds available within Proposition A, again through investment earnings and project savings at Jimmy Ray and Wyoming, to go in and do the alternate work at Howard, which would renovate the band hall and also renovate the theater spaces.
There is one correction I'll make to the slide that folks are seeing at home. It is correct in your board packet, but the word should be by as opposed to to. So we're increasing the price of the total project by $1.1 million, not to $1.1 million. It's an important difference.
Good catch.
Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, how come we chose Howard? Is that is there a price difference?
Yes, sir. The alternate work at Finley is estimated to be $3.4 million, and we just don't have $3.4 million in Prop A funds at this time to go and do that.
And I will tell you, some of the main work that's going to be done here, Mr. Cooper, is related to the band hall. The band hall at Howard is the most undersized, and it is it's the most pressing need we have in terms of fine arts upgrades at either Howard or Finley.
As much as I tell you that I don't have $3.4 million to go to the Finley one, if I'm being really, really honest, like you twisted my arm to be honest about it, I'm really concerned about what the cost of Frankie Lujette's going to cost, because we budgeted and we did all of the initial estimates in the bond on building it immediately when the bond passed. And here we are 2 years later, and so I'm concerned about that cost escalation. So once that's settled, I may be right back up here going, hey, Mr. Cooper, I found $3.4 million because my worst fears weren't realized on the cost escalation at Frankie Lujette. But right now, with that being a really big unknown, I can't tell you we're not going to run out of money before we complete everything in Proposition A if we proceed with the Finley alternate work at this time.
Anyone else? Okay. I need a motion to approve action item E as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McCutcheon.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Timberlake. Any other discussion?
You know, we have exciting things happening in this district. And if you want to know about them, just go on our website. Well, we had a good example today. The girls that were dancing, the kids that got up there and spoke, that did an excellent job. But I went through our website, and just to name a few successes. Fishing, go on there, they're doing a great job. I want to join them someday if I can. Cross country, swimming, FFA, the band, tennis, the shotgun team, a win in football the other night. I mean, we've got kids that are having successes, and we need to celebrate that. We need to feel good about it. And so if you want to feel good, just go on our website and read about our kids.